At least I know exactly where it was. Listen to this again.
The hospital.
Right here.
Right? I'm taking two. Hey, everyone, listen to this, please. 2 days before I was in the hospital, I was on opioids. I was addicted to opioids. I had plastic surgery because I was trying to look good for y'all. I got liposuction because I didn't want y'all to call me fat like y'all called Rob at the wedding and made him fly home before me and Kim got married. I didn't want y'all to call me fat, so I got liposuction, right? And they gave me opioids, right? And I started taking 2 of them and then driving to work on the opioids, right? Then my boy, and I'd always ask my boy, you know, to hand me if it's, you know, we on tour, give me some weed, blah, blah, blah. So he had to go give me the opioids. And there was talks amongst my camp, like, Ye's popping pills, right? So when he handed this to me, he said, you know this is used to kill genius, right? So I didn't take it. 2 days later, I'm in the hospital. I was taking 2 pills a day at that time. When I left the hospital, how many pills you think I was given? 7. I went from taking 2 pills to taking 7. So the reason why I denounced, why I dropped those tweets and everything, because I was drugged the fuck out, bro. And I'm not drugged out. These pills that they want me to take 3 of a day, I take 1 a week, maybe 2 a week. Y'all had me scared of myself, of my vision. So I took some pills so I wouldn't go to the hospital and prove everyone right. We are drugged out. We are following other people's opinions. We are controlled by the media. And today, it all changes.
You can hear a pin drop in that place. A pin drop. And I was sitting there in my living room, and I'm going, oh, my God. You know, this is a guy. I'm just going to say this. I am not going to be running out there and buying Kanye West albums. I'm not going to be consuming his music en masse. I mean, the band, we actually covered some Kanye West stuff in the past, as you know, to have some fun with it. We made a cover of the song Heartless. We called it Shirtless. The Shirtless video. We covered Heartless, but we did the video with our shirts off, and it was so bad. We were going for cheesy, and we won. We won the day. It was horrible. But in either case, this is so far beyond the music. The music is always going to appeal to people who want to consume that product, and fine by him. But this is something else. There is a clarity that this man has achieved. I don't know if it is becoming a father, if it's finally getting off of all these substances and having a clear mind. This is a person who is speaking with a clear mind. And I think this thing that scares everybody in that room as he's speaking right into the face of the beast is that there's no excuse for this. They want there to be a substance abuse reason for him leaving the reservation. They want there to be some sort of a reason they can go to and explain why they are in such a bad shape right now and why he's cutting through the white noise. Now, I want to go back to Thomas Wichter's his thread over here. Now, after that, Thomas Wichter said Kanye West explains the dangers of show business. The press makes fun of people for being fat. The press makes fun of people for having addictions. The press makes fun of people for thinking differently. We are controlled by the media, Kanye says. Absolutely. I spent 10 years in Hollywood as a music journalist. Some of you might be saying, what does Kanye West have to complain about? Well, the media can end his career. And it's not just the media, too. That's just in, music as well. But if you're a baseball star, you know how many I think that this happened. I think Jim Rice? Took a long time for some people to get into the Hall of Fame because they were notoriously bad with the press. And the press, the sports journalists, are the ones who are voting for you to get into the Hall of Fame. Journalists are a very vindictive bunch. And that's why, to get along, you got to, to get ahead, you got to get along sometimes. But let's keep going about this. Thomas Wichter continues, artists and the press have a symbiotic relationship, but every single musician I interviewed hated music journalists. It's not the power of the individual journalist per se, it's the power of the media outlet. I could have ruined careers if I wanted to. During an interview, a bassist revealed that she hadn't played on the debut album even though she was credited. She revealed this by accident on the record. So I stopped the interview and called my boss to ask him what to do. The record label pressured the magazine to take me off of the story. That was almost 20 years ago, but I still won't reveal the bassist's name. I could have ended her career before it started. Another bassist spent most of the interview talking about her time in prison for drug trafficking. She was high when I interviewed her. So I called the publicist and asked, "Is this something that you want out there?" "No," the publicist screamed. "Why is she talking about this?" So I didn't write about it. The publicist thanked me. Almost everyone in the media would love to destroy Kanye West. To be able to get a scalp of that size would make a journalist a star. It also explains this obsession, this deranged obsession with trying to take down Trump, finding something to take him down with. Not exactly just going along, just living life as it goes along, and as you stumble upon things, you see things happening like, oh, wait a second, something's wrong here. No, people are digging. We got to find something wrong. We got to find something in the past. Go back 10 years. Go back 15 years. Find something. Anything. Let's take him down. That's why every time Jim Acosta speaks, my fucking head splits open. Can't stand that little... Wichter continues. They would do it in a second. When I was a music journalist, everybody told me that the celebrities had no right to privacy. By becoming famous, they gave up their right to privacy. Everything was fair game. So who can Kanye West trust? Did you notice the dead silence at the end of that TMZ clip? Guess who's in total control of his fate now? And I think it's great. Amazing times are created by amazing people. And I would like to stress that this is not about his music, although he is going to use his music to be able to talk to people who are consuming it. And that's great. That's great, because I understand what he's saying right now. And I'm happy. I'm happy he's saying what he's saying right now. That was probably the greatest thing that has ever come out of TMZ. And they were actually the ones in the crosshairs. They were the ones in the crosshairs. Amazing. Just amazing. And to go on from there now, listen to this. Listen to this. Here is Dr. Phil. Listen to this bald asshole, okay?
It does show, I mean, to me, a lack of impulse control. It shows what I would refer to as dysregulated thought. And, you know, I can't diagnose him without spending a lot of time with him and seeing him, so I'm certainly not trying to do that. But what I do see is really... when I say dysregulated thought, he doesn't have a filter here. The things that he's saying are irresponsible and they're ignorant.
They're very irresponsible and ignorant. How dare he break down the divides, the political divides that are making people swear off their friends and their family and just destroy themselves. Destroy themselves. How dare? How dare he? Listen to this bald asshole. Dysregulated thought. Listen, sounds like Kanye West needs to come back in the shop for a tune-up. Doesn't it sound like that?
And, you know, when I say ignorant, I mean that in a descriptive way. If you look that up in the dictionary, it means a lack of information. And, you know, I've seen where he has said on multiple occasions that he doesn't read, that he just thinks. Well, read. Kanye, you need to read, because what you're saying...
Who should he read? Who should he read? The New York Times? What, Maggie Haberman? Well, who should he read, Dr. Phil? Unbelievable.
Paging Dr. Faggot. Dr. Faggot.
should go.
That's a good idea, Dr. Faggot.
So, moving on from there, I'm thinking about this, and I'm listening to Dr. Phil, dysregulated thought. I just see, 2 + 2 = 5, Kanye. 2 + 2 = 5. And, thank God that all of the benevolent white liberals have emerged from their caves to diagnose what has gone wrong with Kanye's programming. Thank God, because if it weren't for the white gatekeepers, where would we be after all? And the same people who want you to believe that President Trump told Paralympians that it was too tough to watch them because they were disabled. I want you to believe that Kanye West said that people living in physical bondage hundreds of years ago had this choice to be free, and they chose to be slaves, okay, without it fitting into an allegory for the present, which is what he was talking about. Now, can you pick apart what he said and explode it for some reason? Sure you can. But listen, I know the problem for many people is that Kanye expressed that even slavery in antebellum South was a choice. But it needs more clarity. Because the allegory that he has made with that statement has been made many times on his Twitter feed before those statements were made at TMZ and after. Yes, any slave population has a choice to rebel. In fact, slave uprisings are very common in our world's history, all over the globe, okay? But the allegory for the present situation that he is talking about is in the fact that the number one fear of slave owners ever is uprising, especially in this country. Especially in the slave-owning South prior to the war between the states. The number one fear that the slave-owning class ever had was slave uprisings, which is why slaves, for the most part, were kept terribly uneducated and, for the most part, completely disarmed. Now, even when free, this was the case. Education was always trying to be taken away from freed slaves or made it harder to access. And, of course, that is how we actually got the first sniffs of gun control in this country. Gun control was introduced to America to make sure that it was harder for freed slaves to be able to arm themselves like it is everybody's natural right to do. So, and of course, because what if freed slaves sought revenge? And rightfully so. I mean, any number of those 4 million people that were enslaved around 1860 in a country of only about 31 million, that's quite a fighting force. So when Kanye says all 4 million, and he makes reference to the amount, the amount of slaves that were held in this country, that is quite a fighting force if they did decide to stand up, to be the ants. Now fast forward to the present. Black and white alike, and that's what he's talking about now, that the slavery that we are under right now, that is something, we're talking about prison, we're talking about slavery. That's something that affects everybody now. The slavery that we are under right now affects everybody black and white. And who do you think, even though these people think they're free because that you can leave your house any time of day you want and go down the street to the bodega and buy yourself a quart of milk, everybody thinks they're free. But everybody we are terribly educated. We're being turned into illiterate, disinterested, twerking dumbasses. And at the same time, add the pills into it. What he spoke to about his own consumption of pills, what was given to him, the reason why he was getting them in the first place, the reason why he went for the plastic surgery, the reason why he felt the need to go and prop himself up and make him into something that he wasn't, for the fact that somebody else was going to comment on it or was going to harp on it and was going to publish something that was completely demeaning, that does affect these people. They're human beings. And we're just the folks who are in the stands over here. But still, you think about the allegory to antebellum South, and you think about the poorly educated slave masses who, through poor education and through disarmament and through that feeling of learned helplessness, you don't even know you had a choice, but you did. But you did. You say, well, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback in 2018, and you'd be right, but it doesn't take away the fact there was a choice. It might have been a choice that faced certain death and overwhelming force, but there was a choice. You know, and now not only do we have poor education and we're dealing with the opioids and the social pressures and the terrible pressure brought down on media and politicians alike. It is all invisible chains. Economic slavery. And on top of that, we are constantly campaigning for our own disarmament now. That's the greatest laugh riot of them all. Now we're begging for our arms to be taken away so we can be kept safe by the shepherds, by the good shepherds. So yes, choice plays a huge part in all of this, especially now. You know, Kanye issues a Declaration of Independence, and the Tories are very worried. And you want to know something? They have every reason to be, because listen to this little thing from Reuters over here. A Reuters poll recently, just published yesterday, black male approval for Trump doubles in 1 week. Black male support for President Donald Trump doubled in just 1 week, according to a Reuters poll on presidential approval. A poll taken on April 22nd, 2018, had Trump's approval rating among black men at 11%, while the same poll on April 29th, 2018, pegged the approval rating at 22%. It should be noted that Reuters only sampled slightly under 200 black males each week and under slightly 3,000 people overall. Trump experienced a similar jump in approval among blacks overall, spiking from 8.9% on April 22nd to 16.5% on April 29th. Black males were also far more likely to say that they had mixed feelings about the president. On April 22nd, 1.5% that they had mixed feelings, while 7.1% said the same on the 29th. So it goes, it's having mixed feelings is definitely better than saying, oh, I don't like him at all. The results are interesting given the recent transformation of Kanye West, who posted a picture of himself wearing a Make America Great Again hat on his Twitter account last week, and also just giving people permission not to switch parties or be a member of any party, but just being given permission to not be afraid. To not be afraid, and to not be afraid to read the headlines about how the job prospects for the black community from coast to coast has gotten better. That unemployment is improving. The U3 and the U6, people are re-entering the workforce. And also the fact that there is no evidence anywhere, especially after Donald Trump announced his candidacy, of racism toward black people or of putting forth policy with the intention of hurting black people. It doesn't exist. All that exists is paranoia and political projection. That's all that exists. Certainly doesn't exist in all of the years in the public spotlight beforehand. Certainly doesn't exist there, where he's winning awards given to him by the NAACP and black leaders that are now against him magically. I mean, it's all fantasy. And all Kanye said was, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And boy, oh boy, that's the real danger right there. All they have left is their talons sunken deep in television and social media and Hollywood and the award shows. If that facade cracks, it is a straight drop down. It is a sinkhole opening up in the earth, because there is nothing underneath that. There's no platform, there's no ideas, there's no commitment to American values, there's no commitment to the Constitution and individual freedom. There's no commitment to culture. There's only erasing of culture. There's tearing down of monuments and statues and trying to rewrite things so nobody inquires again. We are looking at modern-day book burners. And my God, is their stock dropping. That is why I am going to be continuing to cover Kanye West, because that is the most important thing to me. I'll bring on people who are investigating the nuts and bolts, what's going on behind the scenes and in the agencies and in law enforcement, and I'll ask all the questions that I don't understand, but this is the most important thing to me, because without this turning around, there is no chance for anything else. Nothing else.